Do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Inspire Before We Expire show. I am your host, Terrell Sumter. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take some time, first and foremost, to say Happy New Year's. Happy 2020 to all out there. Guys, listen, I just want you to know that it's a new year, new start, new beginnings, new opportunities, new connections. Guys, I want you to take some time, as you know, as I start each and every show, to really take some time to close your eyes. 5 to 10 seconds. Breathe in, breathe out. I want you to really open, and I want you to visualize, where do you see yourself in the next 3 months? That's 90 days. Where do you see yourself really heading? I know that yesterday may have its challenge. Today is a new day to make it all right. And know that there's opportunities and there's something greater in store for you. I want you to take it a day at a time, ladies and gentlemen, because listen, I have a very special guest on the show today. This is the first interview of the new year, 2020. I'm excited. This gentleman here is the founder, the proud founder of Anchor Strategies, and has built numerous successful teams based on building a common vision that is understood and predicated upon impact and purpose. He is a retired military veteran within 24 years of distinguished service. During his time, he held numerous leadership roles, to include instructor and manager of over 500 personnel. Additionally, he was the troop chief for a hand-selected group of special communicators who supported and deployed into austere environments with special operation forces. Upon retirement, he supported government agencies as a subject matter expert in non-standard communications and a business development executive. These experiences have enabled him to pass on the knowledge and lessons of leadership under extreme conditions for companies needing management team building. Wow. Pulling from his past military experience and as an executive level technology leader, he collaborates with those in charge, providing unfiltered truths of true states of a company. He specializes in encouraging the development of communication skills from the top down to bottom up, increasing revenue growth, employee trust, and ownership. He has built many successful teams by helping them navigate through rough seas and land on a foundation based on a steadfast vision. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce to you today and welcome kindly to the show my guy, Mr. Douglas Ward. Doug, thank you for coming to the show today, man.
Hey, thanks a lot, Terrell. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Doug, I know it's the first time on the show, and I just wanted you to really dive deep into your background, man, of where your journey first began, where it started, all for you. If you can do that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, my journey started in high school. I knew I wanted to go in the military.
Okay.
I made up my mind my sophomore year. So I actually started my career in the Marine Corps. Went through the Marine Corps. Eventually, over the time of my career, over 20 years, I switched over and I eventually retired out of the U.S. Navy. And during that time, I had a lot of great opportunities. I got to see, quite a few things. I got to be mentored by a lot of great leaders. I got to be mentored by some people that weren't so great. Yeah. And you look at those people, you look at the experiences, and that what shapes you as a leader. Able to take the good, take the bad, put that away, but take all those good qualities that you had over the years. And that's usually how a lot of people become somewhat of, I don't want to say a good leader, because for myself, being a good leader is something that you can think you're a good leader, but you'll never know. It's the proof in the pudding is with the results you get and how you've affected other people's lives in a positive way. And it could be in a negative way too. You want to minimize the negative impacts. You want to really highlight on the positive impacts.
Absolutely. I love that, man. And you're right. Every great mentor has a mentor, right? So when did it come in time and point that you say, man, I want to join the Marine? Like, when exactly was that day for you? If you can really, because I have a lot of young listeners, man, and they're not sure their journey, Doug, to be honest. And some of them actually want to go into the force or so like that. So if you can really just let us know exactly when did that come in mind and say, man, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I came from a military family.
Okay.
My father was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And when I was younger, in the 80s, we were stationed on Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
We had an Air Force base. But on Okinawa, they had a lot of Marines. So I'd always see them walking around, and it was just the way they walked around, how they separated themselves. It was their posture. Their head was always held high, and they were always in good shape. You could tell, they were out working out in the morning. You see the helicopters flying over. It was just that I want to be like that.
Yes.
I want to be that guy that when he walks in the room, people take notice.
Absolutely.
It was, and that feeds into a lot of people. You look at people and how do they act? How do they talk? How do they walk? It was the whole package. So my sophomore year, we were back in the United States outside St. Louis, and I made the decision, I'm joining the Marines. And I went out to the recruiter, and they looked at me, and they said, you're only a sophomore in high school. So for 3 years, every week I still went out to the recruiter's office and hung out with them. I'd bring home pamphlets, things like that. But in my mind, part of it was also, and this is what I think you were talking about the younger listeners, they're going to understand this. They're in a place where they want to go off and see the world. They want to go do something that's going to challenge them. The only way you're going to be able to do that is you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
If you see something that kind of scares you, figure out a way. Or in the case of the military, you go in that recruiting office and you raise your hand and you take the oath. And then once you ship off, here's something that they need to understand. You're not alone. You're with everyone else who is now in a fresh environment. You don't know whether you're looking up or looking down, heads up, heads, it's such a huge environment to go into, and they break you down and they take you from that individual. They build you up as an individual, but they build you up as a team, and they bring it. It is such a huge environment for that. From the time you get there, no one knows each other to the time you leave. In 3 months, you're a team. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows your strengths and your weaknesses.
Wow. I love that, man. And you said you was only a sophomore in high school when you decided to join?
Correct. Now, I had to wait till my senior year.
Okay. Gotcha.
Exactly. And the other thing is, when I was in school, I did not have good grades.
Right.
And I thought I was just going to coast by. I don't need a high school diploma to get in the Marines. And it wasn't until right before my senior year, my recruiter said, we're not going to take you if you don't have your diploma.
Right.
So guess what? Now I actually had to do the homework. And I was the person that just never liked to do homework. And that was most of your grade. So I had to sit back, and it actually made me a better person. It taught me how bad you want it. And I had to hit the books every night to make sure I could graduate on time, because I'd let myself suffer for 3 years prior. So now I had to make up all that difference in 1 year to get my grade point average up enough for me to graduate on time. And that's a huge thing. How bad you want it. How bad you want change in your life. When you see people that are living somewhere and they're like, well, I have no place to go. I don't want to live here. Maybe it's economically depressed, or you're around people that aren't really helping you out. Maybe the so-called friends you have are not your real friends. They're just there to weigh you down and hold you down, tell you that's never going to work. The biggest thing you can do is get out of that environment. Now, however you do that, that's up to you. I chose the military.
Right. And that's big, man, because it's like you did everything, like you say, it's about how bad you want it. So it's like really stepping into and stepping out your comfort zone, like you said, is important too. So, like as you join and everything, and as you like, what was the main I know that you came from a military family, but what was the main cause behind knowing that, man, I want to travel the world. I want to serve for my country. I would like, what was that why factor of yours?
I wanted to improve myself to the point where I was part of something greater than myself.
Yes.
I was making a positive impact somewhere for somebody other than myself.
Mm.
And one of the things when you're in the military, you're serving the country. The U.S. government is paying you to protect the country, to serve for the country, to serve in times of need. That's a lot different than you just getting a job for yourself and you're not understanding the positive impact you're having on other people.
Right.
Most people don't understand. For example, if you walked in a gas station down in Sarasota and you walk in and the clerk is very cheery and happy, that has a positive impact on you. That's a simple thing right there. Next thing you know, you strike up a conversation. Hello, how are you? Everyone's smiling at each other. Everyone is in a good mood.
Mm.
But if you go in and the line's 10 deep and they're trying to get people through the line, and then you see customers start getting upset, right?
Mm.
What happens? The stress, you can see the stress on that cashier's face because they're trying to get people out. Maybe the manager comes walking out. How come all these people are in line? Oh, you've left this person alone. There's too many people in the store at one time. It's lunchtime. What do you think is going to happen at lunchtime? That's when your rush hours. You know, there's different things like that. Everybody can make an impact. You just have to figure out how you choose to accept the things that are presented to you.
Right.
That's even on an everyday, daily basis with each human being that you run into. How are you going to approach them?
Right. So
And how are
what
you
was,
going to take what they say back?
yeah, absolutely. You're right. I believe that's absolutely true. So what was it like, man, now that we in the military, man, and now we going through that process? Like, what was the process like of really becoming this, like you said early in the show, not everyone is leading by, not being a good leader. Is about really learning those principles and learning those certain things to actually use that term. So what was that process like now growing and being the individual you are today, man? If you can really dive deep into that, that'd be amazing.
When I first started, all I could think about was being a Marine. You don't think of it as, you think of the leadership and how they act and talk and walk, but you
Right.
don't understand until you have to actually be a leader. So if you go back a little further, when I was in high school, I was on the football team. I ran track. I wrestled, but
Mm.
I was never the team captain. I was just the guy that showed up and gave his 100%, 110%. I get in the military and I'm a Marine. Well, now all of a sudden the opportunity comes up where the platoon sergeant said, Lance Corporal Ward, you are now in charge of these guys.
Wow. And how long did that take to actually get to that part right there, like being in
That was
charge?
probably about 2.5 years. I
Wow.
mean, depending on if you were the senior man for certain things,
Okay.
people knew you're the senior person, they're going to follow you. But when you actually are put in those positions of leadership, it was scary because I knew, am I going to live up to the expectations of these guys?
Mm.
Am I going to live up to the expectations? Am I going to let them down? You don't, it was the fear of failure.
Right.
And there's times I failed throughout my career as a
Right.
leader, and I had to use those as lessons learned.
Mm.
And what I would do, what a lot of people need to understand is, as you fail
Mm.
and you think about it, you can sit there and beat yourself up and be upset because you have failed.
Right.
But one of the greatest things I found in the military is when you have other supervisors, say someone of your same rank or your peers. For example, if you have companies, what they need to understand is when you have managers, are the managers competing with each other, or are they actually collaborating with each other? Do
Yes.
they rely on each other to communicate? If they have questions, can they go to that person for unfiltered truth and maybe some opinions? Not even so much opinions, but guidance from maybe a manager that's more senior and seen some different situations. Each
Mm.
one of us, our life has been built on different situations and scenarios.
Absolutely.
So if I said to you, and I'm asking you some questions for
Right.
guidance, if I ask you, you're going to give them.
Absolutely.
I just opened the door up. And it would be the same for you if you're asking me, hey, I have this situation with someone. Would you mind talking to them? I know you and that person have gotten along before, and we're kind of not seeing eye to eye, and I'm just trying to bridge the gap here.
Right.
And I go and talk to them, and then next thing you know, we find out actually as we start peeling the onion back, maybe there was an argument that you actually both want the same thing done and you want the same success for the company. You just are seeing it in a different light. And once we identify that you're both there for the same cause and the same goal, usually you can bring it together, make
Yeah.
everybody understand, yeah, we are here for the same goal. And that works out really well.
Oh, I love that, man. Absolutely. You know, like-minded people come together on a similar mission. That's when the magic happens. That's amazing, man. So, like, you spoke of fear of failure, and that's something I always touch on as well, man. So being at first, like when these people were telling you, you know, yeah, those that was hired and you telling you, hey, you got to be in charge of these people now after 2 months, you know, because I guess they seen the work ethic, they seen how you was, the posture and how you was carrying yourself and seeing how you really was dedicated to becoming a Marine, a true Marine, right?
Correct.
Like, how did you overcome failure, man? How did you overcome that sense of failure, that sense of scarcity, um, to say that, hey, I am the man for this, not this job, but I am the man to lead by example and help them become also who they desire to become.
One of the things I would pull back from the immediate supervisors and mentors that I saw, and some of these people were mentors to me and they never even knew it, because it
Yeah.
was just, you would see them and the way they carried themselves and
Yes.
conducted themselves.
Mm.
You were always watching. I would pull from those experiences and try to incorporate it into my behavior
Right.
and my demeanor and the way I interacted with people and how I treated them. That played a huge part in how I went. The other thing, I also reached out to some of my peers and I asked them for unfiltered advice, or I should say uncensored, right? Sometimes they're going to give you uncensored advice.
Okay.
And you reach out and they actually tell you, if you actually trust me, you built up a trust with those people and they actually care about your growth, you're going to get great advice and recommendations. But you have to build that trust network. The only way you're going to do that is being yourself and being honest. Be transparent.
Yes.
Communication is really huge within companies. You need to have communication and collaboration. Now, for example, say I was your supervisor in a
Yeah.
company. You're
Yeah.
one of the team members, and I've got everybody together.
Mm.
One of the things I try to tell managers is, all right, his opinion doesn't matter. A lot of times it's no, we have certain ways of doing things. Have you ever, I would say to Terrell, I say, listen, this is what we're going to do. You have any ideas on how we can better improve some stuff? Now, what's that do to you when I ask you that?
Right.
I'm your boss, but I asked you for your opinion. I
Yeah.
asked you, do you have ideas? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now imagine having a room of 5 people and everybody is doing that. But you always have a couple people that do what? They just want to keep their mouth shut because they don't feel like they're being included, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't have the loudest voice in the room. They don't have to have the loudest voice in the room. Everybody on a piece of paper, write down your stuff. Or you make them get up and walk up to the board. Get them out of their comfort zone a little bit. Some people don't like to be standing in front of people. Hey, just walk up, just write something on the board. What is your idea? Oh, well, I was going to say what so-and-so. Is there anything else you can think of? Okay, if you were going to say what this person said, what is your idea for something new or a new service or some better way to do something? All right, I got that. How would you do it? They might have the same idea, but they would have a separate way of getting about to that goal or that end state that the other person who had the same idea. Might be the same idea or end state, but how you get there is 2 separate ways. So that's why you want to have collaboration within your team. I've seen explosive growth, and it's the teamwork, it's the camaraderie that comes into play.
Absolutely.
Where all of a sudden everybody starts wanting to talk. Hey, that was a really good idea. You know what? That idea led to 2 other ideas. Guess what? Now we have a service that we are blowing it off the charts, or it's a product that is crushing it and is now leading to a fueled 5-10 year growth in the company. And it's going to lead you down a road of profitability. Everyone's job secure, but it's also give people pride in what they're doing.
Amazing.
Show
Man.
up, give them you got to give them a purpose. And what is your corresponding impact? What's the positive impact that you're making? Not just individually, but as a group.
Right.
Build them strong individually and work that out on the team. It's going to show in the team's overall performance. You know, for example, you hire somebody. The first thing you should be doing is sitting them down. Where do you see yourself in 1 year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your goals?
Yes.
You do that to a person. Most young people are not asked those questions. What do you want to be? Most of them don't have an answer. Say, hey, think about this. What is your dream that you would love to do down the road?
Absolutely. And as you just spoke of, you know, young people and stuff like that, I have a lot of younger listeners tuned in right now from different walks of life. What is some advice you would really give to them, man? That's just that feeling like they're stuck. They're just so much in their comfort zone. And they actually have that idea of really wanting to join the military or so, but they just don't know what steps to take. What would your words exactly be to guide them to get there and to really to get there? So
first off, look in the mirror when you're waking up in the morning every day. Say, what am I going to do to make a positive impact? And you know, they could be sitting there looking in the mirror not happy with themselves. Maybe they're a little overweight. Maybe they're not in the shape they want to be in. Maybe it's a physical thing. Maybe mentally something's going on back home. Maybe they don't have the good relationships, or maybe they just don't have the friends that are giving them the support they need.
Yeah.
And what you need to do is look at yourself and go to a point where I'm gonna take this next step. Walk into the recruiter's office and ask them, what kind of jobs do you have? Now they're gonna try to snatch you up and get you in the military, but actually talk to them. Say, hey, this is what I want to do. And they'll tell you, you have opportunity to go anywhere in the world. We can't guarantee every location. But as you go, and the other thing is when you do go in the military, if they get to that point, they're going to launch to all kinds of different places in the world. Now everybody thinks it's going to be just Iraq and Afghanistan. And that, but if you look at the United States military, all the bases around the country, you know, from Alaska all the way down to Florida and all over the United States, there's bases around the world. You want to travel, you might end up in Germany, for example. You could be in Japan, you know, and you're there for a 3-year assignment. 3 years. Imagine all the things you can see and do in those 3 years. Now, it's not all gravy. You're going to have to work. They're paying you to do a job. But at the same time, depending on some of those places, you might be getting paid to take a vacation. Because, you know, you're already there. You're there somewhere where other people have already civilians are actually paying to get flights to go there. You have been flown there and housed and fed by the U.S. government just to do your job. So during your off time, you're off doing things. And you're getting to see things that you've never seen before, and it expands your horizons. And that's the other thing. You, as a younger person, it doesn't even have to be just the military. Get out and take a drive. If you have the opportunity to go see something else, for example, you're in Florida. If you have the opportunity, say North Carolina, or you go up to New York City, very different environment. You learn a bunch of different things. You see how things work in New York City. It's a different dynamic there than it is in Florida.
Absolutely. So Great, man. I love that. Honestly, people that's listening now from the Inspire Before We Expire, younger generation, go ahead and take that drive, man. Just go ahead and, go the distance. We can never get ahead until we get started. Honestly, we all start somewhere. And, please take some notes and implement this all into your information, because this is a gentleman has more than 24 years experience in the military, and all that he has done and built successful teams from ground up, and still doing it. This man is present. So Doug, I wanted you to really, really go into the work environment, right? And the signs of the toxic work environment. How can we really handle that? Because I know that you've came across so many energies being in the military and everything, and traveling different places, and then come across these. You once was that young person where people that been, so you see these people when they coming in, and some of them, they got their chin up. Some of them, they confident, they respectful. So how do we handle that toxic environment?
Well, there's a couple ways. One of the biggest things is you got to build mutual respect. And when you have a toxic workplace, sometimes it's very in your face. You can tell people don't want to, they don't want to speak. And this is kind of your underlying, this is what I call under the water toxicity, because it's not on the surface, but it's when we were just talking about, if you're asking for ideas, or when your people start becoming quiet and not communicating or bringing ideas to the table that can push not just their growth, but the company's growth.
Yes.
If they feel that they're not going to be listened to, that is huge. You always have to make time to listen. And a lot of places I've seen where supervisors just tell them, hey, your idea doesn't matter. We've got this. We have more experience. You're bringing all this experience from across the table. Just because someone's younger does not mean they don't have good ideas. Yes. They might not be able to frame it in the right mind or in the right way. But that's what you, as a leader and a mentor, need to do to step up, to pull that out of them. For example, if we're talking and you have something, but you're trying to clear your head on what you're really trying to get at, it's my job to try to bring it out of you.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't want to take that time. They feel like it's a waste of time. They're not going anywhere. That's selfish on the leader's part. Pull those ideas out.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm getting treated poorly, what do you think happens with my peers? They're going to see the same thing. So now it starts shutting down everybody down the road. So you got 10 people there, and you have a leader that is doing those things where people don't feel like they're valued. Not only that, once it gets to that point, now you have an environment where people are going to start leaving. They will start looking, especially with today's economy. There's more jobs than enough people to fill those jobs. People will look and jump. There's a huge fight for talent right now by companies. Right now is the best time to get in and get great jobs, things of that nature. But if you have a toxic workplace where people don't feel appreciated, or they have a voice, or maybe it's just a hostile environment, that takes it up a notch, people are going to leave. I've seen in a company where 5 people from a production line quit one week, including one of the managers. And that was like about 25% of the workforce.
Wow.
Imagine the cost that was involved just to rehire and look and find 5 more people, get a new manager. That costs companies a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And if the leadership does not take that into effect, well, who's the manager? Number one, was the manager trained, or did we just promote this person because they're an excellent worker? If you're an excellent worker, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good supervisor. Sales companies are good at that. They'll take their top salesperson and make them a supervisor, but they won't provide training. They just say, hey, you're going to learn as you go. But what
Yeah.
happens is that top salesperson, the company makes them that person, the manager, because, oh, well, that person's a top salesperson. They're going to make everyone else a top salesperson. It doesn't work that way. Some
Hmm.
people are great at learning and being able to teach others. Some are just good at being good.
Absolutely.
So look at football teams. A lot of the greatest coaches, they were never great players. They never were. Most coaches were never great players. Shoot, some didn't never even made the team.
Hmm.
They became coaches because they were good students of the game.
Yeah.
You see that across
I love that.
the
Yes.
NFL is littered with great. There were some great players that became coaches, but most of them were guys. They were never that all-pro linebacker. They were never that all-star quarterback. They are now coaches, offensive coordinators, because they were great teachers of the game. They loved
Yeah.
it that much that it made them intellectually better at teaching it than physically and playing it.
Absolutely. That's key. You must listen, you must learn and implement, become a student of the game. That's how you really, really get to where you need to get to and reach new heights. Thank you for sharing that, man. Honestly, I love that. And yeah, guys, no matter what, you're working at right now, and if you're there for a reason. If you hate it and you keep showing up, you have a choice. You can still stay there, or you can help improve, or you can just walk away and find something better. We live in today's age where there's so many people walking away from different positions and different opportunities because everybody want to become their own entrepreneur, have their own business running and working with other people that are also doing their own thing. But it's nothing wrong with growing an environment. As my guy, Doug was in different types of in the military, he had different positions and he grew from certain points and helped different people that had uh, areas that they had to work on and improve because he once was there himself coming out of high school and stuff like that. So it's important. Now, Doug, I wanted you to really, really, I wanted to take some time to ask you, man, through years of really being this military vet, man, hard work, sacrifice, dedication, time away from family, and going through the ins and outs, ups and downs. What was that biggest challenge you ever encountered, man, that you can really share with the audience today?
Well, I was 19. There's a couple of them, but I will tell you, let me tell you two. I'm going to tell you one where I had to learn trust, where I thought I knew trust, but I found out in a split second. And the second one was a failure I had as a leader that was eye-opening for myself because it hit me in my ego to a point, and I had to understand it wasn't about me. The trust was, I was 19 years old, and I was with the infantry company. We're out in the jungle, and there was a clearing, and the sun was coming up, and the helicopter was coming in, and I looked out, and I could see some Marines out there. I'm with some other Marines, and I said, "Hey, what's going on over there?" They said, "Oh, those are the snipers. They're going to do rappelling training from a helicopter." And I said, "Well, I want to go do that."
Hmm.
I had to go through like 5 different people. Everyone kept saying, "It's okay with me if so-and-so says. It's okay with me if so-and-so says." So, it's like, it's okay. What did mom say? What did dad say? And, you just keep going up. So finally they said, "Yeah, you can go do it. If the person over there that's in charge of the rappelling says, okay, you can do it." Next thing you know, the helicopter, they show me how to rig up so I can do rappelling. It's called a Swiss seat. It was a rope that went around your waist. Well, we went up on the helicopter. And when we got up to about 65 feet, and I could see outside the helicopter on Okinawa, it's a very small island. And the point we were at, we were high enough up to where if you looked one way, you could see the Pacific Ocean. If you looked the other way, you could see the South China Sea. We could see both sides of the island, the ocean on both sides. Everybody was going out, getting snapped in with the rope and going out. I was the last one. And this gunnery sergeant, he looked like he was chiseled out of stone, grabs me, and he's holding me with one hand. He says, "Lean out." And he's like, "Are you scared?"
Mm.
I said, "Yes, I'm scared." Then he said, "Look into my eyes." He's screaming this. I'm not going to do this on the podcast.
Yeah,
And he's
it's all
screaming
good.
at me. He's got this huge bicep and arm, and he's holding onto my shirt. The only thing that's really holding me into the helicopter was his arm, because he hadn't snapped me into the rope yet. And he looked at me and he said, "Look into my eyes." He goes, "Are you looking into my eyes?" And I'm like, "Yes, Gunny. Do you trust me?" And I paused, and he yelled at me again, "Do you trust me?" I said, "Yes, Gunny." And he snapped me in. He told me to lean back. He had the rope. He handed me the rope. I put it in front of me, behind me. Told me to lean back. And he said, "Get off my helicopter."
Oh, wow.
And I said, and I kind of looked at him, and he said, "But before you go, make sure you jump far. I don't want your teeth hitting the side of the plane, because I'll have you come back and pick them up."
What?
Yep.
Sheesh.
But it was the whole, when I paused and he asked me, "Do you trust me?"
Right.
Because fear was starting to overtake me as I looked down. I was 65 feet in the air. I'm hanging from a helicopter with someone's arm.
Wow.
And once I got on the ground, I was like, I got to do it again. And it totally changes your perspective on putting your life in someone else's hands.
Dang.
You know, the failure I had was later on. It was my last assignment. I was in charge of other managers. So I was like the junior executive, senior manager, in charge of basically, and a whole bunch of these guys were my peers, but I was put in charge. I'd recruited them from another special operations unit for communications. And as we recruited them in, everything we thought was going to be good, or I thought so, but I wasn't delegating to them over time. And what ended up happening is we had a meeting and they said to me, "Why are we even here?" This is about 3 months after I had all these guys together. I was so used to at the time, because we just started up some of the things we were doing, of doing everything myself, that I did not delegate with trust. I knew these guys. I trusted them, but I wouldn't give them any authority to do anything. I was not trusting them. So they wanted to leave. They thought I was micromanaging, or I was not just handing off anything to them that I had. So there was a big trust issue there.
Yeah.
And that hit me in the, as a leader, I was supposed to, here I am, the lead dog. At first, I was kind of, I don't want to say hurt, but it's a shot to the ego. So we finally went to lunch, and as we sat and talked, I realized how wrong I was.
Right.
Once we divided up all that work, my work hours went down from 16-hour days to 12-hour days. So I got more time with my family. It was also a personal thing. My quality of life went up. Now, when you delegate with trust, with people you work with, when you're delegating and you're giving them things, okay, hey, you're responsible for this. You're responsible for this. Yes, in any job, you're going to have to follow up, because of it, you have to verify everything's done. But you have to give people trust. You have to show them that you're going to be able to knock things out of the ballpark.
Right.
Give them the opportunity to succeed. If they fail, go back, figure out why they failed. Maybe, because then this also goes into your mentorship. Did they have the resources? Did they know to ask? Or did you just not provide the resources a lot of times? Or you weren't present?
Wow.
That's one of the biggest things, is when you fail, being able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, man, I really screwed up. That's definitely a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And every leadership is environment and people based, in the sense, your environment, the task that has to be done, and the experience of the people you have could change. And that's going to have a huge impact on what you do. If you have people that are not very experienced in what you're teaching, guess what? That means you have to apply more leadership. You have to apply more instruction. You have to provide more guidance. the more experienced. It gives you a chance to pull back and actually let them start to blossom. When you're a manager, just remember this: when you're a leader, you've already become the leader in that position. It's not about you anymore. It's about what are you doing to empower your people. We used to do that in the Navy. They're called the chief petty officers. And we would meet at least once a week. We would all talk. We were all the managers and junior executives. And we would sit there and communicate. And as you went through the training to become a chief, it was just like a 6-week process. They do it every year when they promote the new chiefs coming in. You were basically trying to figure out, and they break you down to figure out, who are you? At your core, who are you? And it's eye-opening for every person, because you're taught it is not about you anymore. You have to rely on your peers. And that's what you want to do as a manager. You want to rely on your peers. You need to have that trust level there, because that's what's going to lead to overall success.
Yes.
You can't have a company and one manager is running circles around everybody else, and the other managers, maybe they're not talking to them or something. But what happens there? That one manager can't lift the company. It's a team, it's a team effort. You have to have collaboration, transparency, and a lot of mutual respect. Yes. For example, you and I might not go out drinking on a Friday night,
right?
But I should have the respect for you as someone that is good at what they do and all that. And when you show up to work, that's usually how things need to be. Absolutely. Understanding, and also understand your people's struggles. If you understand their struggles, you know how to help them and you know how to provide for them.
Powerful, man. Very, very powerful. Wow. Like, from the events you just shared, from being on the helicopter with that leader, and then, the next is just like, man, like, it just blows a person's mind to know that, man, like, you got to really take the risk and you got to build trust. It doesn't happen overnight, but like you say, man, it's mutual respect, the, knowing that when we fail, it's not about failure is, falling down, but refusing to get back up. Like you did. When you fail, you got back up, right? So I just think that, man, communication is also a powerful point. Like, and I wanted to ask, man, when did you finally see breakthrough, Doug?
I'm sorry, say that again.
When did you finally, from those breaking points, when did you finally feel and see breakthrough?
I think the breakthrough came at various times, but it was incremental.
Right.
As you thought you got to be a really great leader,
yes,
something would come back to knock you back down. It's a continuous journey.
Right.
And you had to figure out, like, man, I never saw that situation coming. You're not going to see every situation coming as a leader. And that's what makes leadership such an important role for any company or any business, even in the military. The greatest leaders are able to adapt and be able to reflect and make adjustments as they go, and understand you're not going to know everything. You have to be willing to understand and have self-awareness about yourself.
Right.
Because when it's like a light bulb when something happens that you just never encountered. My friends and I, as different supervisors around the military, we would keep in touch. And as everyone was moving up in rank and things of those natures, my phone would ring at night. And one of them, my friends, had become an officer, had gone the officer route, had promoted into the officer ranks. And he would call me every so often, or I would call him, but we would compare notes on things, maybe needing guidance. What do you think about this situation that I have right here? I'd like your opinion. And they would say, tell me everything about it. And I would do the same for them. When you have that mutual respect, even as you move on from one company to another, somebody might call you and say, hey, I've got a situation. What would you do? To me, that is when you've made an impact as a leader, and when people value your opinion to call you or to reach out to you even after you're not around them. They're looking for guidance. Why? Because they felt they had a trust factor with you, that they knew you would never try to steer them down a road of no return.
Amazing, man. So 24 years, right? In military. Okay. After all those years, man, what was next for Doug?
Yeah, I worked for the government as a contractor for about almost 2 years at MacDill Air Force Base. And then I jumped into industry and was doing business executive jobs. I went and did some business development for communications and got to see a different side of the military, because I was looked upon as now a sales guy in a couple of those roles. And when you go in, the biggest thing I found was I didn't want to lose my reputation on who I was. I knew I had a good reputation and integrity, those type of things. So when you go into a different role like that, some of the people say, oh, you're just a sales guy. And one of the things I would do, and I think this is important, because no matter where you're at, if you were to change roles, it's like when you become a leader, your peers, the ones that are not becoming the leader and you are, it's the same thing. They look at you in a different light. How you handle that light is you're transparent and you keep your integrity. As long as you can keep those things and treat everyone fairly, you're not going to fail. And the business development thing, because they looked at it as a sales thing, I would say to people, hey, you know what you get if you buy this stuff? If you need this stuff and we get some stuff to help the guys out, you also have me. You can call me 24 hours a day. You call me and I will be in touch with you within 2 hours. I will make sure if there's a problem, if you have any issues, I'm there for you. I was there at this time in your life and at this time in you guys' career. This is what I'm going to give. You have my word. Sometimes your word and shaking hands and looking people eye to eye is absolutely huge. You have to look people in the eye. You have to be able to shake a hand and make those agreements. To me, the human interaction, like when you actually meet somebody, how do you treat them? And that's what a lot of kids nowadays need to understand. And the younger people, I say kids, you see a lot of children nowadays or younger people in high school, they're constantly in their phone. They will walk down a sidewalk for 100 yards and never look up because they still think they're on that sidewalk. And there can be some other kids there. When I grew up, that's where there was a lot of interaction. People talked. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have things like that. So you would actually talk to other people. You were kind of forced to talk to other people. So sometimes you have to get to that point where you have to make yourself communicate to other people. You might not like what they say all the time, but communicate. Try to come to consensus, a common ground. For example, you can take two people from, like, look at the politics in the country right now. So you take one from the super extreme left and one from the super extreme right. I guarantee you, if you put two of them, those two at a table in a restaurant, they will eventually, if they had a task they had to complete together, they will find a common ground.
Absolutely. You got to, because if that's the only choice right there, you got to make sure you make it work together. Now I know today you're the proud founder and CEO of Anchor Strategies Llc, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Awesome, man. Just give us a little rundown about your company, man, and exactly the services you guys provide and how some people can get involved. Maybe some people looking for some opportunities, around Tampa or other places, looking to move and just want to learn from the man, Doug Ward.
Yeah. Working at right now, Anchor Strategies goes to the Navy chiefs And it was the strategies, the different types of things we did in leadership to ensure success, not just of the individual, but the whole team, right? So I work on the key things in any company is, or, whether it's the military, a company, a business, you have to have a vision. What is the vision? Do you have a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year vision for what your business is and where you want to take it? Because that also feeds into that vision is fed off giving your employees and yourself. It gives you purpose. What is my purpose when I wake up in the morning? And what is the impact I'm making? Whose lives am I changing? Hopefully myself. I'm changing my own life to, positively, but also how am I impacting, potential customers? How am I impacting my family by what I'm doing? And I work through all these different anchor strategies, and a few of them are, obviously communication, and that is up and down. There's different ways depending on when I speak with companies. Where do you want to be? And we have to figure out the communication. Okay, how do you relay this to the people? How do you inform your people how you're doing things? Trust, delegating trust. How is your supervisors? How do you select your supervisors? How do you train your supervisors? Is it because they work hard? Okay, now you put them in charge of people. Are you teaching them how to relate their skills to the people that they're now mentoring and supervising? How are you doing that with the team? I like to call them team members because you want to build a team environment where everybody feels like they are part of a team.
Yeah.
And then there's the collaboration. And it's not just as they're talking to the workers in the collaboration, it's the ideas. You want to hear ideas. What are better ways we can do certain things? Like I was telling you, if I never asked you for ideas, a lot of times your ideas are not going to come out.
Right.
But if I give you the opportunity to present ideas, it's like dreams. If you don't go out and try to pursue what you want to do, they'll go to the grave with you. And that's one of the big things young people need to understand. If there's something you really want to do, the only thing holding you back is you. You have to take that first step.
Yeah.
And there's nothing holding you back but you. Take those steps and never look back. Don't let anybody try to hold you back, and don't let anybody try to tie you down. Move forward. And if there's naysayers out there, you know what? And some people will attack them. Maybe tell them, you are not good enough. You're not going to do that, whatever. I had some people say that when I was younger and I was going to join the Marines. Oh, really? Yeah. Good luck. I wasn't a tall person at the time. I think I was 5'5". I'm like 5'8" now. And in 3.5 months, I gained 45 pounds and 3 inches when I was in Marine Corps basic training. And it's because we're eating 3 square meals a day and we were working out like there was no tomorrow, right?
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with these younger people. You're going to run into the naysayers, block it out, don't worry about it, and move forward. And when those people say things, the best thing you can do is just smile.
Yes.
And just let it roll off your shoulders. Most of these people and young people need to understand this. When people are trying to drag you down, it's usually because they're unhappy with themselves.
Yes. There you go.
There is something about them that they are very unhappy about. And a lot of times it could be anything from their parents to maybe their home life. Maybe something's not going on. Sometimes that takes someone highlighting that to let someone else know, maybe pull them aside. Maybe something's going on in their life at such a young age that they need to get off their chest, but they have no way but to tear other people down. And once you start talking to them, you'll be surprised at how people will open up and actually be on your side. And they will actually go on a journey themselves for fulfillment. everybody wants to live a life of fulfillment. It depends on how you want to take that journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, I've enjoyed you, Doug. Thank you so much, man. Today, I wanted to show some gratitude towards you. Still just have a few more minutes, but I wanted to take some time, man, and show some gratitude towards you, man, for really being present with us today, man. Honestly, man, and just sharing about your journey, man, where it started for you, entering the force and really, man, creating a life for yourself, man, learning from those who've been there, and not being afraid to put yourself in that space and putting yourself on your life on the line for others, it's just impactful, man. I've truly been moved and inspired by this message. I know many people that's listening right now truly, truly moved, inspired, impacted also by this message and by your story, man. So I thank you for really being present today, man, and for really being transparent, and being a real authentic, leader and honestly, and all that you've done for our country, man. It's just it just doesn't get unnoticed at all, man. Some people may feel like it's not a big deal, things like that. To me is because we know that you've been around the world, but there's some people, and many people some people just couldn't make it back home, and that's just that's what it comes with. And, you're grateful to be present with us and share this, man. So I think young people that's listening right now, this message is for you, man. You guys need to really smarten up and take that step, but also be grateful for where you at while you pursue the life you want, because guys like Doug, man, he's sitting here, he's leading by example, and he's been through that storm, honestly, to see, the sun. So it's powerful, man. It's all powerful to me. Yeah. So I just want to really I wanted to ask you just in general, man, life, the military, working as business development, helping other companies with their communication and building teams and things of that nature. Just everything else you involved, man. What are you really, really most proud of? Like, what do you say that your greatest accomplishment is to you?
I think my ability to learn and try to improve myself at all times, and understanding and having a self-awareness that you have to continuously try to improve, and you're never going to have all the answers.
Absolutely.
Reach out when you need. If you want questions, reach out and build lasting friendships.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Absolutely. And I was just going to give you the space, man. I know we almost closing time, to share something that you haven't got to share with somebody in an interview. Just maybe in such a long time that it's 2020. You feel like you just want to reach out to the people right now. So I'm just give you the space, Doug.
Yeah, I think people need to understand, as you go out there and you're a leader, always remember this. And I try to impart this on a lot of people who I've seen in my life, people I've known. I could see some of them, maybe they move up into a position in a company, or they feel like they have this authority somewhere, but always understand something. If I meet you at a restaurant and I don't work for you, you're just another person to me. Don't get wrapped up in a title. If you're in the military, don't get wrapped up in rank. Who are you? You're not a title. You're not a position. Who are you and what do you stand for?
Amazing, man. Doug, my last question for the day, man, is when it's all said and done, what do Mr. Douglas Ward want to be remembered for?
Making a positive impact in a lot of people's lives, that when they go into leadership, they're making a positive impact. I want to have a pay it forward, get people to understand, pay it forward, do the right thing, take care of people, and it will just replicate itself over time and over time and over time.
Mm-hmm.
If you pay it forward, they're going to pay it forward. Teach
Mm-hmm.
them how to lead properly, and
Mm-hmm.
teach them they're not going to know everything, and to always try to reach out, collaborate.
Absolutely. Indeed, pay it forward, honestly, because people that left us, left legendary, left a legend, left something for us, we got to make sure that we pay it. We got to pass it down, right? So
Correct.
I love that, pass the torch. So as we see in today's age, Doug, is so much going on, man. As you see with the, even the military soldiers that got to get sent to certain places and these things. And I'm sure you've seen it and you've witnessed it. With some kind words, man, or advice you would give to them currently over there in them countries as this, this devastation is happening around the world today, man. This war and all this stuff. Like, what is some advice you would really give to them, and just some kindness that you can, some love, you can really spread to them right now at this moment.
You know, keeping the faith, understanding where you're at, and all of them are eventually going to have to leave the military, whether they decide to end an enlistment, go up to retirement, but start understanding what they want to do when they eventually want to leave. It's never too early. Once those days are over, you have to plan what's the next stage of your life.
Hmm.
You just lived a life of service. So are you going to continue that life of service in some way or form? How are you going to take that, and where do you want to do it? Think about those things. Think about what you want to do when you come back to civilian life. Because
Hmm.
it is different once you get used to the military and come into the civilian life. Is readjustment. Readjustment can be a hard thing.
Hmm.
So think about that. But also understand there's a lot of people like yourself, myself, that love and respect what they're doing.
Yeah.
And my daughter's in the National Guard, my oldest daughter.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
I understand, there's a lot of young people that do, and a lot of people around the country, most people support all the troops. But start planning and start thinking about what you want to do when you get out.
Hmm. Yes. Powerful. Doug, if you can really just share your social media, your website, and everything that people can really reach you at, man, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm on, so my website's Anchor Strategies Llc.com.
Okay.
I'm on LinkedIn, Douglas Ward 45.
Okay.
And that's what it is, Douglas Ward 45. You can also find me on Instagram with The Truth with Danger Doug.
Okay. All right. We're about to get out of here, man. Any last words you want to leave for the people? Hey, froze. I think he froze. Doug. All right, froze. Hmm. Yeah, I think it froze, Doug.
Yeah, I was looking around. I was like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, so let me get back to the recording. Yeah.